Hi everyone, welcome to the first in the series of 6 webinars on delegation in healthcare. My name's Melody and I'll be your facilitator for the 6 sessions. If you have a device with you, you can go to view this presentation live by going to the link that's displayed here on the front screen. And I'll leave this presentation public so you can go back to it at any time. I wanted to start today by telling you a story about why this delegation in healthcare training package has been developed. About a year ago, I was working with a rural allied health team in Queensland. They had about 12 health professionals and 3 allied health assistants. We were discussing documentation and what the health professionals expected from the assistants when they were documenting in the record, when one of the 3 allied health assistants started crying and left the room. When we caught up with her, she explained that she'd been there for 8 months, but nobody had ever said to her that she should document in the record at all. And the health professionals thought maybe somebody had, but there was no formal training in place, and there certainly was no record that it had occurred. This conversation really highlighted to me just how difficult it can be to be an allied health assistant in a team where the health professionals either don't have time or don't have the skills in training and assessing their assistant. And it drove me to develop this delegation in healthcare training package that you're receiving today. So we only have a quick amount of time today, so we're going to focus on your team, what's working in your team, and have a look at some challenges. And I'm going to introduce you to a best practice process for delegation, but we won't go into that in too much detail today because we do cover each step of that process in subsequent webinars. So why are we delegating? I think we all know the points here displayed on this screen about an aging population, increasing chronic disease. We really need to get more efficient with how we're delivering our services. And the Chief Allied Health Officer has highlighted that over the last 5 years, the allied health assistant workforce has grown faster than any other part of the allied health workforce, and that's only going to continue. So we really need to get some great processes in place now. So what I want you to do now is talk with your teams at your site about what you think delegation should look like. What are the important elements that should be in place? So once you've had a little think about it together, start writing down some comments on our discussion board. Okay, so it looks like most of you are starting to get your head around exactly what it is that you need to have in place. But research has shown that not many of us do have some of those things in place. So very quickly, this is just introducing you to our version of best practice in delegation. And this is a combination of legislation, local Queensland health policy and procedure, and the Allied Health Assistant framework. It brings it all together in a really simple and easy to understand graphic. So the first things to recognise are that both the health professional and the assistant have responsibilities at each stage of the process, and that the 5 steps of the process need to be in place before the actual doing of delegation occurs. So very quickly, we go through looking at legislation and policy, making sure that supports are in place. So things that you've already mentioned like supervision and documentation procedures. Is the task appropriate? So this is where risk management comes into place. Is the team competent? So training and assessment for both our health professionals and assistants. And then is the context appropriate? So that's making sure that we're delivering the right tasks at the right time for the right patients. And then in the delegation cycle, we're delegating to the assistant, but importantly, we're receiving feedback. So now what I would like you to do is have a look at this video. So this is Hugh, and he's an assistant in a rural health setting. So have a listen to his experience. He does face a few challenges. This video actually goes for a total of 4 minutes. The whole video is available on the Moodle online learning platform that you have access to. But for today, I just want you to have a look at time code 3 to 4, where Hugh talks about his challenges specifically. Okay, so hopefully you got an idea of some of Hugh's challenges, and more than likely you identified that some of the challenges that he was facing were probably likely to be experienced by your allied health assistants as well. So what I want you to do now is reflect on your team and think about the processes through an allied health assistant's lens. So if you go to the Swipe 2 website that's listed here, there's a live poll where you can vote on your top 3 challenges. So I'll give you a minute to discuss that between yourselves and vote for your top 3 challenges. Okay, so this is the result of our live poll. So most of you are finding that assessment is an issue. So this is reflected across Queensland. Assessment of competence of allied health assistants is generally not happening, or not happening well or in a formal way. And then we've got some issues with busyness and time spent performing non-clinical tasks. So this is very, very much reflective of the whole of Queensland experience. So we've come to the end of today's webinar. What I want you to do before the next webinar next week is identify one of those challenges to work on with your team and hold a blue sky thinking session. So a session where you just come up with lots of different solutions that could could solve the challenges that you have identified. And then I want you to bring your challenge and solutions to the next webinar session that is on next week. So thanks very much for your time. These are my contact details. Please don't hesitate to get in touch if you've got any questions about today's session or you're having trouble accessing the online Moodle site. Thanks everyone.